Timothy Holloway.
And I'm Riley Judd.
And welcome to Know Your Nonsense podcast. Wow, this is our first episode.
Oh yeah, it is.
That's going to be wild.
Wild.
So, essentially, what is Know Your Nonsense? Essentially, I had the idea because I wanted to do something a bit more productive with my free time. So, instead of going on social media or video games or whatever, I figured why not start a podcast to kind of explore how much about a subject you can learn in a certain amount of time. And so I roped in one of my good friends, Riley.
Yo.
And we decided we're going to work on this together with different thoughts, different ideas, different backgrounds, different passions.
So basically, how this podcast is going to work, you will have us two as your hosts, and we have a very wide and eclectic range of interests, of tastes and things, various and sundries. We can't say we're really experts on various topics. We're not
at all.
No. But we have our passions. So for the sake of picking discussion topics, my passions are games, design, and programming. And Timothy's passions are history, folklore, and food. So how this is going to work, we're going to run on a tri-weekly schedule. So Timothy will pick a topic from his three passions, and he's going to tell me what it is, and we're going to research it. We're going to both research it for the same amount of time, a set amount of time, and then I'm going to, in the podcast, give an overview of what I found. And then in the next podcast episode, Timothy will do the same from a topic that I have chosen for him. And then for the third one, we are going to both pick a topic that we don't really know anything about. Like, we are not comfortable talking to somebody. We're not comfortable explaining this to somebody. So, we might know what the topic is. So, for example, we both know, I don't know, it's something we both know.
Something we both know. Well,
sunflowers. You know what a sunflower is?
I do know what a sunflower is.
I know what a sunflower
yeah.
is, but don't ask me anything about it.
Yeah, fair.
So, something like that, and then we will both give ourselves a bit longer to research said unknown topic and present on that. So, kind of the overall presentation, how this information is coming to you. We want the person who had to do the most research, basically, the person who had the most to learn. They're going to give the overview. And then the quote-unquote expert, not an expert, but passionate one, passionate one.
That
Wow.
sounds real official.
Jeez. So the passionate one is going to then fill in any blanks or just tell us we did a wonderful job. That probably won't happen very often. But they'll fill in anything. So then the person who presented, the one who isn't knowledgeable about the topic, is going to say what they found the most interesting. The person who is knowledgeable about the topic is going to say something that they didn't know and they learned, or something they thought they knew but was wrong. And then the person who didn't know about the topic is going to say if there was anything that really confused them. So hopefully the person who knew about the topic already is able to answer any questions that they have. And finally, we will conclude each topic with, is there something that we wanted to know but we just could not find it?
If we have one of those.
Yes, if we have it. Because, we are researching in a very specific set amount of time, which we'll cover more later. But if we can't find something within that time, we just don't get to know that piece of information. And then we get to ask you, our lovely viewers, if you know anything. So, yeah. So, a little bit about ourselves, so you can get to know your hosts. A couple things we have in common. We both grew up in St. Louis. We both are currently seniors in college. So my name is Riley Judd. I really like video games. I really like game design. I like design in general. I just love seeing the intricacies of how things are, how they are constructed to do their functionality the best. That's why I find game design so interesting, because it basically takes all other forms of, design and just smushes them all together in a wonderful, delectable entertainment sandwich. My favorite movie is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Call me a simp, that is fine. But Spirited Away deserved the animation Oscar the most. I hate the animation Oscar because those people don't know what they're doing. And my favorite programming language is C++. it was Python until I learned that Python is disgusting. And that's about all you need to know, honestly.
We're going to have an episode about that someday, because I want to know more.
Look, all I gotta say is semicolons.
And with that cryptic note, my name is Timothy Holloway, and as Riley said, we're both seniors in college. I'm studying marketing, communications, and history, double majoring it up. Got extra time, but that's okay. I love it here. And some of the things that I really enjoy are coffee, straight black, because it's not gross, it's amazing.
Disgusting.
It's amazing. But coffee, good coffee, tea, music and musical instruments. I actually work on instruments and work with my hands a lot, so that's one thing that's really big to me. And yeah, that's a note on me.
Nerd.
Oh, you're one to talk. So with all that out of the way, we've decided that we would make this first episode a bit of an example after the introduction portion. So without further ado, let's show some examples. So the topics we've chosen today, I gave Riley the topic of Pax Romana, which he will graciously overview for us here soon. And then he gave me the topic of the video game Fall Guys.
Ultimate Knockout.
Still cannot believe that that's the full name.
It's the full name. It's important.
Yeah, it is. It very much is. But still, wow. I will overview that later as best I can. So, Riley, Pax Romana, what do you got?
All right. So, a brief overview of Pax Romana. So, the term Pax Romana literally means Roman peace. It was a term that was coined in 1776 by the author by the name of Edward Gibson, who wrote the book The History and Decline of the Fall of the Roman Empire. So basically how this Roman peace came about, it all started with everybody's favorite Roman historical fact, which is the stabbing of Julius Caesar. So once he had been poked to death by his friends.
Understatement of the year.
Basically, his nephew, Octavian, and some others by the name of Lepidus and Antony formed the Second Triumvirate, which was basically, a little council to rule. And they ruled peacefully for about a decade until they realized, wow, we hate each other. So Octavian went and beat up Lepidus, and then he went to fight Antony. Anthony married Cleopatra in Egypt, and there was a big ocean battle in 31 BCE. Octavian beat them both. The other two go and kill themselves, and now he's just the head of Rome. So he returns, though, and he doesn't want to declare himself a dictator, because that's how his uncle got stabbed to death. So he gives himself the name of Princeps, or first citizen. So he was not directly a dictator like Caesar had went and declared himself. So, however, when he did that, he made a couple of really strategical moves where he basically gave up all his dictator powers and gave them back to the Roman Senate. The Roman Senate was like, we don't know how we feel about this, and so he was like, okay, I will graciously extend my abilities for another 10 years. And so then he just kind of started acquiring really nice titles that people really, people in Rome would look up to. Like, he eventually had his name changed to Augustus, or he was given the holy title of Augustus. So this was a very, important title to hold. Everybody loved him because he was Augustus. It had to do with Rome's history and such. And so basically, he kept getting these titles which would give him power, but instead of just being a dictator, everybody was like, yeah, he's a wonderful person. And he had all these powers kind of subtly, though he was basically the de facto leader of Rome. And while he was the de facto leader of Rome, he established this Roman peace, which was very hard to do because Rome didn't find peace. They didn't think of the concept of peace as no war. They thought the concept of peace is, we have literally fought everybody we can, and there's no one left to fight. Like, they're all done. They've all been beaten. Like, they weren't even looking to fight, but we beat the snot out of them anyway, and now there's no one to fight. And Octavian, now Augustus, had to kind of convince Rome, hey, guys, We are going to benefit so much more from not going to war than we are from the benefits, like the spoils of going into a risky war. And so he had a lot of things that he did to convince people that this was okay. They would have these lavish ceremonies for closing. Oh, it was a gate. They would close a gate that would only be open during times of war, the gates of Janus. So they would have lavish ceremonies to close the gates of Janus, and then they would have coins that they would print pacts on, peace. And they got some authors. He had some authors who would write basically propaganda for him. There was some art propaganda. So he did everything he could to convince people that, hey, it's okay not to go kill people. And it worked. He sent... This didn't mean that there was no war, but, basically they weren't constantly searching out war. And it meant that there were not... The armies were no longer in the center, in Rome. They were in the outskirts of the Roman Empire, kind of protecting the borders. And so Pax Romana lasted about 200-ish years, 206, I think was the number. It lasted for 17 emperors, of which Augustus was by far the most successful. He ruled for 41 years before he died. As it comes to the other emperors, there was a nice bit where there was 5 who rapidly killed each other in succession in 69 CE. It was a wild time. Poor Otho. Roman Emperor Otho lasted 3 months. He is the shortest of the emperors. That was a sad time. But he did his best, okay?
Yes,
he managed to get power, and yeah. So 17 emperors, it all started kind of falling apart with what was known as the 5 Great Emperors, which was Roman Emperor Trajan to Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. So by the time Marcus Aurelius, everything was basically in shambles, civil war was breaking out, and by the end of the reign of his successor, Commodus, Pax Romana was gone. But when Pax Romana was going on, it was a wonderful thing. Everybody was not everybody was having a great time. There was plenty of poor people still, but basically everybody wasn't killing each other anymore. And there was a lot of advancements. There was advancements in art, in technology, in literature. It was sometimes referred to as, I think it was the Silver Age of Roman literature or something along those lines. They perfected concrete at that time. They built some wonderful pieces of art, which I can talk about, but I won't talk about them right here because they're not relevant yet. So yeah, basically it was a long period of peace. They didn't kill each other, and then Roman emperors killed each other too much, and it ended. Pax Romana. Boom.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's pretty good coverage of the topic. Well done. I would like to build on that a tiny bit. Just the thought that Pax Romana wasn't the whole no war thing, because we'll get into this a little bit later, but that was something that stuck out to me as well. But it was primarily no war within the borders. So, because whenever Augustus and Antony and I just lost the third guy in the triumvirate's name. What was his name?
Lepidus.
Lepidus, that's right. Whenever they started fighting each other, that was like a civil war. And they actually had this long period of civil wars before the Pax Romana started. So whenever this started going on, it wasn't just, no war within the empire, but it was no war among each other. They were actually living in this relative peace. But yeah, good job on that, and definitely a good way to describe the whole... It wasn't, absence of war. It was, we beat everybody else into submission. This has definitely really wrecked everybody around them.
Yeah, that was wild. I definitely thought it was real interesting how good old Augusti had to convince the entire country, hey, let's just not kill each other. And then Rome is just but why? He's what, why? Because it's good. And he had to convince them, it was really interesting to see also his tactics of, how he's like, I'm not a dictator. I'm a wonderful person, even though I still hold all the power. And everybody's like, yeah, you do. We respect you, man.
Yeah. And how he was like, yes, I will graciously take this mantle back since you don't know what to do with it.
Dude,
It's my burden as first citizen.
That was so wild when I read that. It was like, he was like, because it was a bold move. He was giving up all of his power back to the Roman Senate. And the Senate was like, we don't want this. Which I thought was wild, but then he was like, oh, that's fine. I will graciously allow myself to continue on. It's such a burden, but I will do it. And then just some other things. So he some of the other titles, he got the title is Imperator Caesar Divi Filius Augustus. So Imperator, basically emperor. That showed his military power and victory, showed he was the commander-in-chief. Divi Filius means son of the divine, which this was a huge part about being Rome's emperor. You had to have connection to the Roman gods. So he was a descendant of Venus, which is very well propagandized about him, in this wonderful statue that you should look up, which is known as the Augustus of Prima Porta. Go look it up. We'll learn an art thing. And then Augustus,
statue. It's
a lovely statue. And then, of course, Augustus, the holy title, ties to Rome's illustrious and majestic traditions. But it didn't have, the heavy authoritarian overtones. And so it was just so weird. He was just like, I'm going to make myself a glorious Roman citizen, and then everybody will love me, even though I'm a dictator. And I was like, that's wild.
Yeah, for sure. That's, again, well done. Good coverage of the topic in not much time, but we'll build more on that later. Something that I had found through that kind of surprised me, that I thought was different before I went through this again, was that whole concept of it's just war within the empire that isn't really there.
Yeah.
Because they had a very far reach at this point. It kind of would make sense for them to kind of fight in many different places within this empire. But the peace was a peace within the empire. It was no civil wars. It was no fighting amongst one another until much later. Again, kind of R.I.P. Otho, because there was a little bit of fighting in there.
Oh, goodness. 69 was a rough year.
It was a very rough year. Year of the Four Emperors, if you want to look it up, because there were 4 within the span of that 1 year. Really rough time to be a Roman emperor. But yeah, that was something that I was surprised about, just because I thought it was a different way, and I am happy to admit I was wrong about that.
So something that I was confused about when I was looking all of this stuff up was, so I know Rome obviously started in Rome, but I knew they became very big. So Pax Romana, as we've kind of mentioned, their reach was very widespread, and that's one of the things that made this piece so interesting and shouldn't have worked. It's they were huge. I'm terrible at geography. If you name a state from where I am, I can't tell you which direction it is. That's how bad it is. But I do not really understand the limits of the Roman Empire during Pax Romana. Somebody said, we got, from North Africa to Persia. Other people are from England to Morocco to Iraq. And I'm like, where are we?
Yeah, no, it's totally understandable. And I'm going to try and explain this and help you figure this out in the best way I know how. And that is, the Mediterranean Sea?
Yes.
The Romans called that our lake, the Mare Nostrum. Yeah. The reason being is, I think it was lake. It was the pronunciation of something like Mare Nostrum or Mare Nostrum. And it essentially means Roman, or our sea, or our lake. And the reason being is because the Roman territory, the Roman emperor or empire, circled that entirely. So I mean, when they sailed, were they we're just taking a trip across the ponds, just I mean, if they did, it would be in Latin, but
that's a wild thought.
Oh okay. Yeah, it's completely crazy. But they had a bunch of coastal land around their lake, their sea. that was about, I want to say I saw it was 100 miles in was some of the furthest reaches. Somebody correct me on that in the comments if you like. But they had mostly coastal land in all of these countries that surrounded the Mediterranean Sea, plus a bunch of more larger masses in like Spain and the Gallic lands, which is like France and Germany. And then they eventually moved up into Britain and further into Egypt. So yeah, they had all of that, which I hope that helped you understand exactly how widespread they were.
Yeah, bingo. So something that I wanted to know about, but I just could not find. So, as I mentioned, they made a lot of really good technological advances. So, one of those, as I mentioned, was they perfected concrete. Well, the perfection of concrete allowed them to perfect the Roman dome. And the dome in architecture is an extremely important development.
Super cool development.
Oh my goodness, it's wild. So the dome that they became famous for was officially termed the large-scale masonry hemisphere. So think the Pantheon, that giant dome. That's one of the engineering feats. And I wanted to know more about like them perfecting this, and I could not find anything about it. They're just like, yeah, they made a dome, they stuck it on the Pantheon, and that's that. And I'm like, no, tell me more about it.
Yeah, that is a very interesting like landmark just to look at because it's super impressive. I haven't been there personally, sadly, but I've seen plenty of pictures of it, and it is just blowing my mind every time. So sadly, I don't know much about that either. But if any of you listeners have any information on that, send it to us. We'll put our email at the end of this podcast. Yes. So send us that information. We want to know.
Yes, tell me my art things.
All the art things.
All the art things. So, it's been a little bit. We're probably going to take a short break before we get into Fall Guys, where Timothy will give
Fall
you
Guys.
the rundown of the game show Jelly Beans. Oh, yes.
We'll be right back. Ultimate Knockout.
Ultimate Knockout.
Sounds way too, I don't know, epic for its own good. I don't
know.
No, it's not epic. I don't know. But yeah, it is definitely, it's a big deal.
Oh yeah.
It is a big deal. All right, so Fall Guys came out August 4th of this year, right? And this is one of those Battle Royale style games, but I guarantee you it is not like the Battle Royale you're thinking of, because you probably got Fortnite, you probably got Call of Duty, whatever running through your head.
Is definitely not.
No, they have a version that's Battle Royale.
Oh,
yeah.
Jeez. Oh no! I'm supposed to know these things.
It's fine. It's fine. You don't play that one. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is not that kind of Battle Royale. This is very, very different. So you get 60 players at one time in each game, and 59 people will lose, 1 will win. And the way they kind of do this is 5 rounds per match. That's how I figured that out. There are 24 different round styles. So you could be, running through an obstacle course, kind of like Wipeout-esque, like that old TV show, where they're just trying to knock people off the pedestals and whatnot.
Yeah.
You could be on a team, jump through hoops. You could be trying to steal a tail from another character's avatar. What? I'm not sure where that came from, but okay. Anything of that sort. One of the favorites that I've seen played, because in doing research for this, I had to watch some gameplay. Why not? But one of my favorites was definitely the falling platform. So it had many layers of tiles that would fall as you step on them. And so some people would, try and stay up at the highest tiles as long as they could. But others, which are definitely the more shifty of the group, they would purposefully fall like 3 or 4 levels and just wreck the center of the platform they were on. So there were like no tiles in the middle, and as people would come falling, they would just plummet straight to their doom, and it was really entertaining to watch. But I should explain something else real quick. You're not a human in this game. You are a little... You said they call them jelly beans sometimes?
Little beans.
Yeah, that's a thing.
They're just, beans with... I can't really say faces. 2 eyes.
2 eyes, that's it.
Arm and legs.
Sometimes they wear... Yeah, Google some images. Sometimes they wear costumes.
Wonderful costumes.
Yeah, it's a great time. There's like a hot dog.
I would say I play as a hot dog.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoy playing as a hot dog.
I liked seeing it was like a ninja. That was a cool
the ninja
one.
outfit's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, so you are your own little bean, and you run around, and all throughout these other like challenges that you're trying to get through, with a team, without a team, whatever it is, you're running around as this little bean, and I saw more than once people smacking people, it looked like, just straight up knocking beans out of your way.
Knocking beans.
I'm sorry, but that's what was happening. I hate calling them beans, though. Can we call them blobs? Can I call them blobs?
No, they're beans.
They're blobs. Okay. But yeah, you're knocking blobs left and right, trying to dive through like little obstacles that are closing. You're just trying to get to the top because with each round, less people qualify. So I think the first round is something like 41 people will qualify. The next round, it's like 20. They like have the number. You're not going to get through unless you really, really rush for it. And it just keeps going down until it's finally, you're at the last round and you have to go and grab a crown in order to win. And that's another thing. If you do well in a game, you get what are called kudos. What does that mean? Not exactly sure. I'm pretty sure it's like a type of currency in the game.
Oh, well, it's based on a game show.
Right. The Takeshi's Castle is what I found.
Yeah, that's the one. And then, of course, like the Wipeout, Total Wipeout.
Oh, yeah, all that. But continuing on with the overview. Super simple concept for a game. Like, it blows my mind how simple this idea was that, anybody could have come up with it. Like we just said, it was based off a game show, so multiple people have, but not in video game form. Not in Battle Royale form. Which was really interesting when they were developing it, because I was looking into it, and it turns out, developed by Mediatonic, who is one of the largest indie game developers in the UK, brought up by this guy named Joe Walsh, who is like one of their lead creative people, one of their lead creative developers. And he pitched this idea to a Jeff Tanton, who had literally just talked to him about, hey, there's a lot of Battle Royale games going around. Maybe we should, pull back from that. They'll definitely be saturating the market in a few years. Well, Joe was like, nah, man. Nah, this is a great idea. Fall Guys is where it's at. And so he pitched this idea to Jeff Tanton, who essentially dropped everything to help him start making this presentation to the rest of the company so they could, just get it going because he loved it so much. It was an immediate, love at first hearing of the idea. Is that a thing? I can't really say love at first sight.
Hearing.
Love at first hearing. It sounds like some kind of weird court drama.
Oh, gosh. Court drama.
Look out for the new court drama.
No.
Love at first hearing.
Yeah, look out. Don't go to it. Watch out.
Yeah, don't watch that. Don't watch that. But yeah, so Jeff and Joe started working together and they started getting this game going, and it came out this year and it was an instant success. As in, they had, the number was in the millions of initial players who they were not expecting. And so all of their servers, gone. Just complete crash. It was really bad, but yet people are still playing it. So that's great. So it's out on Steam right now. I believe it's coming to other platforms soon, or people are hoping it is. And right now there's a whole thing where China is the only country who has the rights to do a mobile version of this game. But yeah, in a decently small, decently large nutshell, kind of midway, that is Fall Guys and kind of its journey into the limelight. So yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It is also on PS4, so Steam isn't the only one.
Missed that.
Yeah, unfortunately, just for all you PS4 owners, you could have gotten it for free if you were a PlayStation Plus member. It was free for the month of August. It ain't August anymore, so sorry, suckers.
Wow.
Yeah, as for... otherwise, you're pretty good. Definitely on the development side, they were putting together the pitch, not for the rest of the company, but for the GDC, which is the global. It's like the game development conference. I think that's what GDC stands for, where they pitched it to 10 different producers, and it was eventually not producers, publishers, and it was picked up by Devolver Digital, and so that's when they got to really get into it.
Okay, cool. So something about this game that I found really interesting was its simplicity.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's literally 3 controls. You can jump, you can dive, and you can hug people.
Wait, I did not see that in the gameplay.
Okay, this guy, he was saying you can hit people. I mean, you run into people a lot. 60 people on these tracks. It's really crowded, really crazy. But you can grab people, and technically that's called hugging. And so, like in the tail grabbing mini games, that's how you get people's tails. You gotta grab them, aka hug them, and you steal their tail. So,
I was certain these little bean blobs were throwing hands.
No, well, yes, yeah, a lot of running. It's a very aggressive game. It's very crazy. A lot of chaos. Developers actually said when they were developing, they were trying to go for, like, I think they said 80% skill, 20% chaos. Like, they just want to really make sure every level had some good, nice chaos sprinkled in there.
From an outside perspective, I can verify it looks like they succeeded in that. Yes. That was absolute chaos.
Oh, it's wild. But back to the simplicity. It literally 3 controls, and not including the joystick for running and the other. When I say joystick, I play on PS4, so sorry. So controlling the camera and running are the only other 2 things. So on PlayStation, that's 2 joysticks. I don't actually know what they'd be on PC. I'm sorry, I'm not a PC gamer.
Probably like WASD. Is that still a thing?
Okay, yeah, for movement and the mouse.
I don't play games.
As roast me later, PC is not master race. It's fine. But yeah, it's incredibly simple for a game. And, like he said, anyone could develop. I mean, if you look at it, some like big graphics people are going to get so offended because it looks almost like a demo game. In fact, this was made in the Unity game engine, which is a free game engine. Like, anybody can go pick this up, and it looks almost like a prototype game. But it's not. It's specific design choices to look cartoonish and fun. And
I saw that the color palette was chosen specifically to remind people of Candy and just kind of the more low-key things like that.
Yeah. So it's meant to be a wonderful time, which is honestly part of its wonderful reception. In E3 of 2019, E3 is a huge game conference. It was actually nominated for 2 awards. One was Best Independent Game, and the other was Best, I think it was kid-friendly / family-friendly. No, it was family-friendly / co-op, I think.
Okay, well, I think they've achieved being both of those, all of that. However many things you said.
Yeah.
I lost track, yeah. Especially, fun fact with the family-friendly thing, our good old friend Chuck E. Cheese is taking advantage of it.
I didn't know this. He informed me that apparently Chuck E. Cheese is streaming Fall Guys.
Apparently, from what I saw, it looked like it was an animation of the mouse himself playing Fall Guys and randomly texting questions into the chat asking, like, have you had pizza today? Which is better, pizza or hamburgers? It's stuff like that, which is frankly a bit disquieting. Just because in general, that mouse is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
The animation was kind of creepy. Nothing against you, Chucky. I don't know. Chuck?
Chuckers.
Charles? Charles E. Chester cheese.
We gotta stop.
Yeah.
Okay, so something I didn't know that I found out. So I wanted to look more into the server explosion because the game gained so much traction. You had a whole bunch of famous people on Twitch, on YouTube, streaming the game, playing the game. So everybody knows about this game. So obviously this overloaded their servers. So they were struggling. People weren't getting rewards. People weren't able to get the games. And it got to a point, so many people were asking about the servers on Twitter, they ended up making a completely separate Twitter, which is, it was like the Fall Guys server owl, I think is the name of the Twitter account. And it was just posting updates about the servers. And it racked up like 123,000 followers in just 4 days. But what I thought was so funny was how they turned all the servers off because they weren't working. And so, but they wanted people to kind of be able to, still play a little. So they turned some of the servers back on without telling anybody to try to see if that so to make people think it's a little better. That didn't work because everybody's like, oh, it's back up, and then it went down again. But they've gotten it sorted out, I believe. I mean, I play on PlayStation, and the PlayStation servers, as far as I'm aware, are doing fine. They handed out some cosmetic rewards, so they gave some fancy little Fall Guy outfits. I think it was like a cactus.
Okay, that would be pretty fun with the shape of these.
It's
blobs.
So cute. It's like the bottom half is like a little cactus bowl, and then you get a little cactus hat. They're basically mascot suits, but it was like a thank you for being patient in such a prickly situation.
Wow, you just went there.
I'm funny. Laugh at my jokes.
So something about this whole game that kind of blew me away and confused me a bit was how it got so popular. Like, more of how did it get so popular? Because that is something I don't understand with how simple it is.
Yeah, so obviously there's no real data on this, like there would be on Pax Romana, but in my professional opinion, so when it comes to battle royales are getting incredibly oversaturated. Mostly, we all blame Fortnite. I will blame Fortnite. So there's just so many nowadays, but most of them are shooters. 100 people, giant map, kill each other, and then be last man standing. And so the game show concept, we're all familiar with game shows, so it's a simple thing that all of us are very comfortable with, very familiar with. The simplicity plays a huge part into this because there was actually, I believe, in an interview, the developers mentioned how you have people who don't really have interest in video games that know about and want to play Fall Guys because it's just so simple and just so fun to look at. And it's funny because all these little beans are just deadpan running into each other, falling over. It's a hysterical time, and it's just fun for everybody. And then another big part of it is just kind of how a lot of the little finer details of the Battle Royale genre, it's just kind of ignoring. So a good example of this so there are 3 currencies in the game. There is kudos, which Timothy mentioned. So you get kudos for just playing the game. So as you play, you get those little kudos to go to the store and buy outfits and other customizable things for your characters. And then you have crowns, which you only get by winning. And then you have fame, which is the leveling system in the game. So as you level up, you get rewards. And so when it comes to the kudos, you can purchase kudos to buy cosmetics in the store, which this is not uncommon. It's known as a microtransaction. And so people will pay to get these kudos to buy what they want because the store cycles through what they have. Some items stay a week, some items stay only a day. But what's interesting about this game is how quickly you can earn kudos. Other games will offer stuff like this, so you can get money, but it takes so long to get any money that could purchase something because they want you to pay the microtransactions. They want you to buy that so they get more money that way. And Fall Guys just doesn't do that. you are perfectly capable of getting enough money to buy whatever you want in the store. I own the game, and I have enough kudos that, like, there have been days that I just didn't play. I just got onto the store and bought everything in the store. And then they don't let you buy crowns, as I mentioned. You only get crowns through winning. But there's no, like, special thing you have to buy so you can get a crown. You just, as you win, you get those, and those get you special things. And so it's really kind to its players, unlike a lot of other games. You know, it's simple, it's not lying about what it is, and it wants to build, like the developers have mentioned this, they want to build a good relationship with their audience, and they want them to know that we are here to provide a wonderful, polished experience for you.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And bringing up those crowns and kudos and fame and stuff.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about the thing you wanted to learn more about?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I was crunching some numbers, right? I was looking into details, and because as I mentioned, you get kudos very fast. But, you know, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I'm pretty good at the game. So I do get, if I don't win very often, but I usually can make it to the final round. And as, you know, obviously you win more rounds, you get more kudos. You know, I have some friends I play the game with, they don't earn kudos quite as fast as me, but they still get enough kudos to buy things. But I wanted to know how many rounds do you have to win, so I could kind of calculate how many hours do you have to play to be able to purchase things. And this led me to trying to figure out what is the actual breakdown of the kudo distribution, namely kudos. It was fame as well. I mean, crowns are easy. You get 1 crown per win. But kudos and fame as well, as like, how do these work? Because at the end of each round, you're ranked. If you are the first person to complete a round, then you get first, obviously. Then you get a silver medal for being in the top 20%, a bronze for being in the top 50, and then a pink if you finish it. If you just qualify, you're in the bottom 50. And I cannot find the distribution of kudos. I do not know how many kudos are awarded for each medal in each round. So if anybody out there is a hacker or something, please get on Steam. Don't actually get on Steam and hack them, but like,
yeah,
if
let's
anybody,
not advocate that.
I'm sorry, but if there's anybody who could please tell me how the kudos system, like distribution system, works, I would be greatly appreciated, because I tried to do my own research, and that didn't really get anywhere. Kudo distribution is not, it's an algorithm that I can't just pick out with my simple art brain, so yeah.
Fair enough, yeah. No, maybe we won't.
What?
We just said it at the same time. That's awesome.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, not similar, but something that I wanted to know more about was about kind of in the development stage. Supposedly, some of the early concept arts for these little characters, these cutesy little beans, were not so cute. As in, they were apparently kind of nightmarish at times. And I went to see that. I tried to find them. I could not. So please, that's all I want. I want nightmares about these things. Not actually nightmares, but like, I want to have the choice to be nightmares.
See, you tells me that I'm just so like curious. Because I mean, the game wasn't always going to be called Fall Guys. They had some other names. I think one was like, I don't know, Tumble Chums or something. I have it written. Oh, Stumble Chums. Excuse me, Stumble Chums.
That's even worse.
Yeah. I think it had a name before that one too. There was like a first name. Definitely don't know what that was, but if anybody wants to tell us what that is, put it in the comments.
Please
tell us
do.
what failures we are.
But yeah, that is Fall Guys and Pax Romana.
Yeah, it is. So, as you can probably tell, we are not super scripted.
No, not at all.
And we also, I mean, when it comes to us presenting this information, we have notes in front of us, but, you know, we kind of want to go as much off of our own memory as we can, because this is stuff that we have learned. You know, we put time into it, we researched it, and we don't have a time set for study. We don't really study this information. But, just kind of to show you what you can learn in a given amount of time. So how long did you spend?
I spent, honestly, no more than 2 hours on both of these.
Both?
Probably more like around 1 hour 45 on both of them. Yeah. So not long.
I spent an hour and a half on both. So, a little timer, and I went for it. So...
just shows what you can do with a little bit of free time and some perseverance.
Yeah. Or shows you what you can't do.
Yeah, or shows you what you
So,
can't.
on that note, obviously, we could very well get something wrong. So, when it comes to looking up, say, Pax Romana, so that's a history thing. It's much easier to find good sources. Video games, a little harder. I mean...
I have no idea where to look.
Yeah.
At all.
It's a wild time. And we're going to give you all of our sources, so if you want to go tell us we looked at a stupid website, that's fine. But if you want to read more, so if you're like, wow, this is interesting, I want to read more, we can give you a good look in. But definitely this is something if you know about these topics, say what you know. Tell us if we got stuff wrong, tell us if we got anything super right. And otherwise, learn a thing or two, get out there, research it, or just listen to us, and now you know a thing.
Yeah, for real though. If you're wanting to tell us those things, find us on social media, send us an email to kynpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes.
Pretty simple.
Yes.
Easy to remember.
So we're going to have an episode next week, next Friday, and we're going to officially start the cycle. So... Timothy is going to be giving me a topic. So generally speaking, I would not know the topic before we were recording, because he's going to give us, I already know the topic, so it's mostly you this time, but he's going to give us a hint. I'm going to try to predict what it is, so those of you who are, history, folklore, and food buffs are going to get to hear my guess at what it is and be like, oh, this poor child, this poor art person... doesn't even know what 1986 was. Did anything happen in 1986?
Which part?
Oh dear. I try.
There's kind of always something happening, but not the point. As for now, the hint that we're going to go with for our next episode is a look into old and light architecture.
Such an easy hint.
I mean, I'm starting to get very easy, and we'll see where we go, okay?
I know what it is, so obviously I can say that, but
yeah, if you have a guess, keep an eye on those social medias, which should we go and give that out? Yeah?
I mean, we got Twitter, we got a Facebook, we got a...
Instagram.
Yeah. It's all KYN Podcast.
All of it.
Yeah.
I think Facebook is technically Know Your Nonsense, but the username itself. Is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
and I mean, we'll have links below, so... all of this talk doesn't matter, but...
Hey, that's okay. It feels really good to say.
Does it?
Yeah. A little bit.
Sound of your own voice.
Not like that. But yeah, thank you for sticking around this long, and we're glad to have you. We hope to have you again.
Yeah, I hope to learn you a thing or two. What?
It's a very...
That doesn't have to be the end.
No, yeah, it's...
We haven't said goodbye to them yet.
We are now.
Bye.